Hello everyone and welcome to Forever Rugby, and we've just witnessed the return of Springbok Rugby, in inverted commas of course, because it wasn't quite the Springboks, but it was a Springbok match of sorts, and I really enjoyed it. And to be fair, quality of rugby still not phenomenal. It wasn't ridiculous. I'm not going to sit there writing home about that game for a long time. But it's same as last weekend. The point is not the quality of rugby, I suppose. It's just the fact that we're back and it's just building steps. But it was quite interesting to see some of the big performers because there were a lot of youngsters on display, and a lot of players that were just they put up their hand. And to be fair, I don't think too many youngsters were sort of standouts. In fact, it was pretty much a lot of the experience that came through. A very tight game. Obviously the Green won 25-9 thanks to a penalty try as well as a try from Siamtanda Khaleesi, our capitano. It was a very tight game, and set pieces were going to win it, which I think Erasmus knew, and he kept saying when he was picking his team, lineouts are going to be important, set pieces are going to be important, and he absolutely got it right. But shout out to the front rows because it was a fantastic battle at scrum time, and that was pretty much where the game was won and lost. There were so many penalties in the game, not much in the form of backline moves. A quite broken up play, quite a tactical game. But I tell you what was definitely interesting is some players certainly stood up, and whilst other players had an opportunity to and didn't. And the first one I'm going to talk about is, well, first of all, let's just talk about our prop stocks and the fact that we lost last year the legendary Beast Mtawarira, and how do you replace him? I'll tell you how you replace him with Stephen Kitsoff and Oxen Chair. They were brilliant today, both of them, really good in the scrums, decent open play, hard workers. I'm so excited to see Oxen Chair playing really well. And, we still got so many props that are absent. And that was the nice thing, you look at Ruan Dre, who battled a bit, but Carly Sari looked very good off the bench. Thomas Dutoy looked solid. He got run around by Lekanya, but, but in close-up play, Bongi Manambi looked very good today. And to be fair, he's a player that's just grown and grown. 2 years ago, you would have said that Malcolm Marx would never have been dethroned the way he was playing. But Bongi and Manambi started the World Cup last year very deservedly and was, again, very good today. And you can just see he's just grown as a person. He's very vocal. He's become a natural leader within the setup. And I'm very chuffed for him, because he was someone that was so committed to the cause, so passionate about playing Springbok rugby, that he didn't mind being behind Malcolm Marx. It wasn't about him. You can just see on the sidelines, the way he acted, it was all about what is best for the team. And he's just grown in leaps and bounds. So hats off to him. Definitely one of the better players today. Dwayne Vermeulen, very good, as always. Just Mr. Reliable. He's just, like standard V8, just keeps going, brings experience, brings physicality, just doesn't do a lot wrong at the end of the day. Doesn't miss tackles, makes better decisions more than he makes bad decisions. He's just a very good player, and we've been blessed. And it's probably one of the biggest regrets of him and SRAB is that he's only played about 54 games, I think, for Springboks. Siya Khaleesi looked all right. Arno Boerter and Marco Verstappen probably could have been a little bit busier. Had a bit of sort of quiet games. From the locks as well, it was quite a tight game. The lineouts weren't fantastic, especially the goal struggling quite a bit. Marvin Orie, was supposed to be the lineout sort of go-to for White, and he wasn't terrible, but as a Lions fan, I could say I watched a lot of Marvin Orie, and he always frustrates me as a player who can be very good, but makes basic mistakes, just poor decision-making quite often. JD Schickerlin stood up. Hiron Andrews wasn't terrible. And then if you lose the back line, and I think as good as Herschel Yankees was last season, I think Sahelen Ohamba has come through, and I think he could very well leapfrog Herschel Yankees. He was terrific today. The Sharks fans were rightfully excited when they were watching him this year. And I'll tell you what, he had a fantastic combination going there with Alton Yankees. Two players that they complement each other. But, Nahamba's one of those players. He's like a Faf de Klerk. He's a live wire. He's always busy. He gets quick ball from the rucks. And he was very good today, once again. Hershey Yankees wasn't bad, struggled a bit, got completely sat down by Francois Steyn at a stage. But struggled to get into the game simply because the Green pack was so dominant in that first half. It got a lot better in the second half, but by then we sort of started making a lot of changes. Ambrose Papier, Ivan van Zyl, not much to talk about there. The big thing for me was the fly half battle. And because obviously Andre Pollard is out for the Rugby Championship, if we do play in it, the fly half is the big thing. And Erasmus came out last week and said Yankees is currently the second choice fly half. And I'll tell you what, today, you could just see it was chalk and cheese between him and Damian Willemse. Willemse, I think, missed 3 kicks in the end, whereas Yankees only missed 1. But just in the general, just the way they run it, you look at Damian Willemse, and I keep saying it. Lots of people disagree. I just don't think he's a fly half. I don't think he's a number 10. We are putting too much responsibility on him at number 10. I think he's got a all-right kicking game, not a special kicking game. His defense is decent. He's very active in his defense and tries to be quite physical on defense. But at the end of the day, you've got a player who's one of the most exciting players with the ball in his hands, running at players, running into space, quick off the mark, and we're telling him to try and run a game at fly half. The whole thing about the fly half is supposed to be the general, and they run the game and they make the big decisions. So I don't understand when you've got somebody as exciting as Damian Willemse, why we're asking him to kick for goals when it's not his best asset. We're asking him to kick for touch all the time. It's not his best asset. He needs space. He needs to be running into gaps. And somebody was saying today that they could very well see him at inside centre. And either inside centre or fullback, I just don't think he's completely suited to fly half. Look, he could very well prove me wrong because he was very good at school. But again, you watch his school highlights, and he wasn't very good in that he was a great fly half, putting players into gaps, that kind of thing, very tactical. He was a good fly half because he had amazing feet and he was just used to, exploit gaps and stuff like that. He's got an immense turn of pace and he's really good on the attack. But today, I thought Yankees stood up very well. And what was interesting is the first 25 minutes was very much an Erasmus tactical, this is the plan, this is the outgame, this is how we do it. And it was quite a kicking game. And Alton Yankees, for once, came to the party with the kicking game. He had some very good clearances, some very nice up and unders. Nohambo was also very good from the box kick. And the first 25 minutes, it was completely dominant Springbok Green. And they could just see tactically they knew what they were doing. They had a game plan and they were executing it pretty well, despite there being no tries. Damian Willemse, he had a very frustrating game. He knocked it on quite a few times. He struggled to get into the game. He got a stupid yellow card for holding back Penke for that try. And it just wasn't his best day at the office. So an opportunity for him to stake a claim for fly half, which I think he missed. And Kieran Libok came on, but without much time to really do anything. Notable performances. Lekanyo was starved of possession, unfortunately. He didn't have much to do. And when he did have it, he looked very good. He created a very nice move, which almost should have resulted in a try. But they just struggled to get into the game. The same as the loose forwards. The likes of Nizam Kar and Sikumbuzo Noche struggled to get into the game because it was quite broken up in terms of stop, start, lots of set pieces, and the Green sort of dominated. I thought Warwick Gelant looked quite good, had a couple of bad moments, but overall looked very, very good, very tidy. I'm hoping he could find form because he's such an exciting player. And it's so nice that, I don't want to be that person, but we're moving away from just that sort of very stock standard sort of players who are quite big and quite direct and very solid. Something with a bit of X factor. Gelant's got X factor. He's exciting to watch. And when he's playing his best rugby, he's a very exciting player. But, I think there was probably one sort of standout fullback move from the Green that stood out, and that was the cross kick from Yankees. Straight into, I'm completely blanking on the wing was, and then a bit, go over forward and inside to Windasile Similane, who also didn't have much to do. But that was really it from the backline. There wasn't a lot the backline could do. Frans Steyn looked very good, and that was, he completely sat down Herschel Yankees, but I thought he was very good, looked very much in shape, and I think, he will probably be the 12. When we play the championship at the end of the year, based on that game at least, we have to see what Dan Indy's doing overseas. But Frans Steyn looked very good, and he just shows his class. And we've got a really good player coming off the bench. He is, getting on in years, but he's a good player, and I'm looking forward to. The biggest thing of this entire match, I think, is just how much I'm looking forward to seeing local rugby. And I think the Cheetahs have got some very nice players. And I think a lot of players have come back, which are quite exciting, and we're going to see Nizam Kar, we're going to see Gelant at Stormers, where I think he's going to be a lot better, so I think we're in for a very exciting few weeks. And look, not too many youngsters came on that sort of grabbed the scenes. Alcade Volata looks very comfortable, we only saw him for about 10, 12, I think 15 minutes. Very nice conversion, and we have to wait and see, because obviously he's been thrown into the mix after the deal feeding to Montpellier for fell through, but he is a very exciting player. Joanna Augustus got the try. He's one to watch out for. Salman Murat was quite good at lock. So I think nice depth. And what was very nice was just to see a very, very competitive match, and then afterwards a very relaxed and sort of scene. And there's just so much good happening within the Springbok setup. The culture just seems to be so good. The players seem to be getting along so well. It all just seems to be so genuine and good and fruitful and productive. And it's just good to see because it bodes well for SA Rugby. We need to have this sort of camaraderie, this sort of structures really in place if we are to continue our success. Lions Tour next year is going to be huge. In many ways, some people say it's bigger than a World Cup because it happens less often. As a player, you get to play in a Lions Tour once if you're lucky. There are players that could play a decade of rugby and miss a Lions Tour. So it really is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Good news is I've got tickets to all the tests, so bringing you all the action live to it. So make sure you subscribe right now, bottom right-hand corner. But yeah, a fantastic day, and the domestic season starts next week, which is really, really exciting. Some great rugby I think we're in for. Lots of players putting their hands up, lots of big decisions to make towards the end of the year. Obviously, still so many players overseas. But what we saw today is that we've got exciting players within South Africa, and that if we can get the Currie Cup going again, and we can get this internal going again, that we can have some really nice rugby competition down here. With the news that we're going up to up north, I'm hoping that means some more players can come back, and we can just continue building, and hopefully reduce the amount of players leaving, which I think is the reason why so many are being pulled into the setup, so that we lock players down into contracts, into unions, make them part of the Springbok setup, and sort of cement South African rugby down back here as an anchor rather than just bringing an entire side from overseas. Let me know what you thought about the game in the comments below. Let me know which players stood out to you, who you thought was really good, who you thought wasn't good, who stood up, who put their hands up for Springbok selection. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like and subscribe. Become part of the channel so you don't miss a moment with Forever Rugby. That's all for me. Hope everybody's had a fantastic weekend, and I'll chat to you guys very soon.